How are you, friends? We meet again with another episode. Let me first thank everyone for your support. Because of you, we are here. I read your messages, and many more keep coming. Thank you all for commenting and for giving me your suggestions to improve the podcast. Believe me that here, I'm taking notes to get better each time, because that's what you deserve, to know things and to know the topics you like. Today we have the story of a young person who made headlines and was featured in hundreds of news reports, with the bad luck that unfortunately it was a very painful, devastating, and shocking news. I'm talking about the resignation of Edgar Guzman, the heir of the poCha. Today, I'll tell you about that regrettable event. How and why did things happen this way? So you can really know what that story was like. But before that, let's learn a bit more about this young person's life, so you know what he was like and what he did. Here, I'm going to mention some facts that I'm sure many people didn't know about him. Let's dive a little deeper, revealing to you some details I assure you you'll find very interesting. Join me to hear what has never been said about Edgar Guzman Lopez. First of all, let's go to his birth. He was born on May 30th, 1985, if I'm not mistaken. As you already know, he is one of the 4 children that poCha had with Mrs. Griselda. His siblings are Joaquin, Ovidio, and Grizel. That all of them are children of the same mother and have quite a few half-siblings, as you can imagine. Well, Edgar was known or nicknamed Moreno. That was the code he used. That's how everyone in his dad's organization knew him, and that's also how his dad called him, Moreno. Here I'll show you a picture of Edgar. Here I'm going to tell you how the Moreno got into the business, and you won't believe me, but he is, or rather was, the most humble of all the siblings. Could be chatting with El Mochomo in the morning, that is, let's say, some big shot. And in the afternoon, he could be eating ceviche with the poorest person in Jesus Maria, and he treated everyone the same. He began to help his dad with everything he could, and when I say everything, believe me, it was everything. Wherever he could lend a hand to help and serve his dad, he did it. As soon as the Losky from Colombia arrived, he immediately looked for a buyer in Culiacan, and as I tell you, he had that charisma, because he was liked by everyone, and many people bought from him first because is good. To be in good terms with the son of the boss, and secondly because Edgar actually was well liked by people, it could arrived. In one day, 8 tontas, and he already had his clients who for that day he had already sold 2 tontas himself. It was impressive to see how he moved in business, and he always liked to be on the move. I mean, it wasn't just about him ordering things to be done. No, sometimes when the boys were busy with something else, he would take the wheel himself to move loaded trucks from one point to another. Obviously, I'm only talking about the city of Culiacan. So here I'm going to tell you how Moreno was the one who nicknamed Minilik Damasillo, as Moreno used to call him. It was one day, like any other in Moreno's house, the one I already told you about in private Santa Ynez. And as you can imagine, they were drinking, and then El Fantasma radioed in. Truff a Nextel radio phone to mention that there had arrived some equipment and it needed to be paid for. There were 27 from the 15, and the Moreno told him, "Heard that. Right now I will send the money," and the Moreno threw the radio at Domicilio. And he said, "Do me a favor. Talk to the accountant so they can give those rolls to Casper, because that's what Moreno called the ghost Casper. And Damasillo. He said, that's good. I'll call him here. Because the Moreno went to take a shower. That's why he asked for that favor. Then Damasillo already spoke to the accountant and told him to hand over those rolls to the ghost. As I mentioned before, Rolos was the code for dollars. Well, the accountant told them that he confirms that they would hand over to El Fantasma in that moment. And after that, Moreno's radio sounded. And the Damasillo still had it and was bravo, Damasillo replied. And the bravo told him what he needed. The Revo went to check some stuff about armored cars, and Damasillo told him, okay, I'll talk to Revo here. To see that, when the Moreno is already coming out of the shower, the Damasillo told him what the bravo had said and also told him, hey, don't mess around. I looked at the contacts you have in the Nextel. You have Ghost, Bravo, Lick, Penguin, Tramp, Virgo, Rudy, Chinacate, Menor, Pariente, Chapito Lomas, and a bunch of more contacts, and the only one you have by name is Damasillo. No way you have a bunch of gunmen and just heat on that Nextel. Imagine if the government or something found your phone. No way. Give me a nickname, a number, or something. Or whatever. But don't keep me with my name. And Moreno stayed thinking for a while and then asked, what should I call you? I don't know. He said to him, I know I'm going to save you as Mini Lick, because your dad is the main guy and you're the Mini. And he burst out laughing, what do you think? And ML said, as you wish, but just remove my name from it. And from that moment on, the Moreno nicknamed Damaso as Mini Lick. They were really drunk. Then Pavel from the group Los Alegres del Barranco, he called Moreno and told him that they wanted to sing him a corrido they had made. And Moreno told him, come over to La Presida Ranch right now. And just like that, Pabel and Armando took off with an accordion and a 12-string bass guitar. They arrived there, and they began to sing it to him, the one that goes, between ranches and cities you'll always see me pass. Well, El Moreno, I can't describe how pleased he was to hear that a corrido had been made for him, and told them, bring the speakers and all the instruments so you can record it, and I will send it to my dad so he can listen to it. And Pavel said, listen, but the guys, I mean the other members, are farther away. Doesn't matter. You have to tell them to come closer, and to bring speakers, the equipment, and everything to record. I want a CD to send right away by plane to my dad. I want him to hear my corrido. Oh, well, Pavel. Immediately, he spoke to all the members to head down to La Presota, and in the meantime, the two who were there played acoustic style. And El Moreno kept asking for his corrido and one from his dad, the one about the oranges. In that moment, the whiskey was ending. They called the 15 to go to Lingo's house, there in Las Quintas, so that he could gather more Buchanans and that they would buy mineral water, natural water, Red Bull, ice, and they should hurry up and take that to La Presita. The Moreno was working very hard, as I say, all kinds of merchandise. Once they were talking because they were going to bring a submarine from Colombia. And so people were told that if they wanted to invite friends and relatives, or whoever it was, later the Moreno arrived at the like office with 2 sheets on both sides. I'm not lying. He had more than 150 names noted, some with 500 like Arturo Mesa. Others with 300, others with 200, 150, 3510. Another one with half of one. The point is that Moreno seemed to have gone street by street in Culiacan, inviting people who wanted to throw in something of pieces over there. Each piece was going to cost about $2,500 already placed there in Culiacan. And how they got in Moreno's head back then. They told him, no, don't think about it. Just with that school list you're carrying, you fill the whole quota. If the ride only fits 8 tontas, please lower it for the investors. And so he did. And in the end, the submarine did reach its destination and everything went well. And well, Moreno's wife had locked the door to the house with a padlock. And the garage door had been disconnected so it wouldn't open because she told him, if you arrive after 3 in the morning, you'll be locked out. There Moreno was, yelling at his wife, Frida, 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 open up, but she wouldn't open the door. The Moreno said to Minnie, hey, help me. I knew this crazy bitch would act like this, but she didn't realize that I left the door of the upstairs room. Window open from the balcony. I'm going to jump through there. Lend me a hand. And the Minnie was like right there, helping out, lending a hand. So Moreno could step on it and get to the second floor because Moreno was really drunk and insisted on getting in. The thing is, he managed to jump over, almost fell. And to make matters worse, the woman had also locked the window. No way! Then the Moreno screams and screams, banging on the doors. Everyone went out until I'd pass me a michelada, and in about 20 minutes, his wife came down, and as soon as she goes, she sees 2 guys drinking with equipment all over the house, scattered around there. All she said was, no one would believe this, you hallucinates. Aren't you ashamed, Edgar? Just think, there is no reason for this. Drinking with all these things here. Imagine the government arrives. And you guys here with that, and you Damaso. Also, why do you even entertain him? And ML says, what am I supposed to tell your husband if you already know him? And here I am going to tell you some information. I will reveal it to you later in another project we are working on because, well, there are many things. What to say about Edgar? Well, we have little time here. I will tell you about his last birthday, where the Incomparables de Tijuana and other bands played. Also about his last Easter in Tasno, Mazatlan, and the last birthday of poCha that Edgar attended. Also, many more adventures he had, and those he took part in, both good and bad. Also, as he was one of the organizers of the welcome for his brother Ivan Archibaldo when he came out of prison. Well, you know what? I think it's best. That story, since it's a minor thing, I'll tell you in another episode about who were there and how it was organized. How he went to the clubs and also Edgar's last party. And there I'll tell you, where were they and who were there? How did it unfold and how did he scold Ovidio, demanding with bad words? Like, that he would never do what, in the end, Ovidio ended up doing. Also about how Edgar experienced the beginning of the conflict with the Beltrans, and that stage in his life. And well, there are so many more things, but all that will be told and revealed. Friends, we've reached the saddest part of this episode. Now I will share a bit about the day Moreno was let go. That day, which was Thursday, May 8th, there was going to be a party because that day, it's Alberto's birthday, one of Javier Leon's dearest nephews, whom everyone calls El Gordo Leon. The Moreno was in an office near the March 4th neighborhood, close to the Universidad de Occidente in Culiacan. Okay. And for this, those car thieves, these were folks who reported directly to the Yoma people and told them there was someone who was asking for stolen trucks, and several, like 15 or 20. They shot with everything they got. Moreno and his friends couldn't do anything, not even run. The only 2 people who ran and had bullets whizzing past their heads were the Huayno and the Lingo. But at that moment, the Moreno, Arturillo and Chacalo weren't as lucky. Staff and Yoma secretly took Moreno's body out. And they took him to a place so poCha could say goodbye to him. There poCha had his son for a while. He said goodbye and cried, while the entire government outside of the funeral home was on the lookout in case any of their targets approached the place.